Hi, my name is Stephnni and I'm an ALT living in Japan. And today I'll be telling you or talking to you about the things you should do the first week of being in Japan as a foreigner working in Japan.
まもなく6番線に快速
Okay, so first things first, this doesn't necessarily have to happen first, but it's something you should get done at some point before you go to your city hall. So it should be one of the first things you do is to get you a hanko. What is the hanko? So this is the Japanese form of like signatures. Okay, so it's like a little piece of mine is plastic actually. Some people's own is made of bamboo. Depends. Some are actually mechanical, and some are normal. You just piece of plastic. You just stamp it. It's basically a stamp, right? That you use to sign on official documents, especially documents that have to do with the government. So you will be needing it at the city hall. So make sure you already have it. The hanko could have your initials or your name in kanji. When you get it, they would explain or ask you what you want to be written on it. Usually, it's just some form of your name or surname. It should be easy to get as well. And then the second thing you should be doing during your first week of living in Japan would be to figure out your apartment. And I hope you already started this before you got to Japan if you already know where you'll be living. So if you're an ALT like I am, sometimes you don't get, if you're working with dispatch companies, that is, you don't get told where you'll be living before you get to the country. So there's nothing you can do about that. But if you would already know where the area you're going to be living in and you will not be taking company accommodation if it is offered by your company, then I would advise that you start looking for an apartment before you even get to Japan because getting apartments can be a struggle here. So figure that out, find an apartment, figure out how to get the kind of apartment you want, how far you want it to be from your train station, and figure out the means of transportation to and from your place of work to your house and stuff like that. Figure the apartment stuff out as soon as you can. And if you absolutely cannot, get like an apartment, I would advise you, so that it gives you a bit of time to figure stuff out, is I will advise you to look into getting a share house or getting to live in a share house. That's another option. It's of lower cost and it gives you time to figure out what you want apartment wise, so you do not make mistakes on the type of apartment you want to live in, because apartments can be quite expensive, especially the initial cost of moving into an apartment. So you want to make sure you are moving into an apartment that you want, that you'll be comfortable in, that you like, that's not too far from your train station. And yeah, all of those things, all of the things you want your apartment to have, make sure they have it, because spending such huge amount of money for the initial cost to get an apartment, only for you to realize you hate the place, do not like the apartment or stuff like that, doesn't make sense. Take your time to figure it out. So a good way to give yourself breathing space is to just get a shared apartment. Apply to get into a share house, and that should give you all of the time you need to figure yourself out. Okay. The next thing would be to get a SIM card. This you can do before you even get into the country. I know, I think it's called Sakura Co. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll put the name up of the company I know for sure does payment for SIMs from your home country. So you can apply to get your SIM card from your home country and get them and pick it up at the airport or in your quarantine hotel. Also, I do not know if quarantines are a thing anymore since the new opening of the borders. So I'll check it out and see if it's still a thing. If you'll be doing your quarantine, um sometimes some of this company would have it sent, your SIM card will have your SIM card sent to your hotel that you'll be quarantining at. So that's a good way to look into it. That way you don't have to worry about figuring out how to get a SIM card, because there are so many issues that you could also run into, like the fact that some SIM card company would not sell you a SIM if you only have like a 1 year visa, which a lot of ALTs have their first year. So yes, you have to figure it out before time. I think I'll look for the name of the company and put it on the screen, and maybe a link in the description as well. The next thing you should do within your first week of coming into Japan would be to open your bank account. Most people, their first year of living in Japan, usually get a JP Post bank account because it's easier to get. Um, and if I'm being honest, there's not a lot of downsides to it. It's okay, it does the job. The only thing is you would not be given a debit card, especially and if you're used to having debit cards when you open an account, like I am, like from your home country. My home country, you get a debit card when you open an account. That's it. That's the norm. But here, debit cards aren't really a thing. So you get a cash card, okay? And you can only apply for credit cards after like a year or two of living in the country, because I believe then they can track your spending and be like, oh, you've lived long enough in the country and all of that. But although I've heard that there are some banks that will give you a credit card within your first year in the country. So I think SMBC, I am not certain, but yeah, you can also look at that, look into that. You can check online for companies that will give you a credit card. But usually, if you open a bank account with JP Post, you will be getting a cash card. So get open your bank account, because one of those things, like those information and things you're gonna need at the city hall. Okay, your SIM card, that's your line, your phone number, that is your phone number, your what's it called, your bank account. They might ask for that, but not necessarily, and your address, which is why I say your you need to find an apartment. So your address is definitely needed at the city hall. Speaking of which, the next thing you need to do would be to go register yourself at the city hall of the city you will be living in. Okay, the nearest city hall to you. So what you do is basically what you're basically doing is walking up to them and be like, "Hey, I'm new here." You would have your what's it called? Your card, which is your, what do they call it? It's basically like your foreigner card, yeah, stating your name, your address, what type of visa you are on, blah blah blah, your country of origin and stuff. Yes, you need that. That's like your permit. Yes, that card they will give it to you at the airport when you get into the country. You should have that, and you should take it to the city hall. It has to be updated. Okay, to the city hall of your nearest, the nearest city hall to your address. Okay. So another thing, another issue I ran into when I went for mine was that I already had my address, I already had my apartment, but I had not moved in to that apartment. And according to my city hall, I needed to have been fully moved in to that apartment before they could use that address. So yeah, ended up getting that done, I think, the week after. So it's important for you to get your apartment sorted out as soon as you possibly can. And speaking of the city hall, while you are there, they will take down your information. They would also enroll you on a health insurance program. There are two in Japan, I believe. There's a national health program and insurance, national health insurance, and then there's the social health insurance. This is not the video for me to explain what those two things mean, but depending on your situation and what fits you better, they would get you on one of those forms of insurance. Okay, good. Now, once they've done that, they will fill you in on some information and give you a bunch of paper. Oh, okay. They'll also give you like some, I've forgotten what it's called, but it's the equivalent of like your social security number. You would also get that that day at the city hall. They will also give you a bunch of papers, official stuff. That's where you will be needing your hand code to like sign on stuff that will be given to you, like certain documents they will need you to sign. You will need your hand code for those. And when that is done, they would give you some brochures about living in the city for like, earthquake prevention, how to sort your garbage, things like that. They will give you brochures that have all of the information that you need. And then finally, what you should get would be a commuter's pass. So I know there's basically it's like this card you use to you charge it up, like you fill it up with money and you use it to get on trains and buses. I know there's Suica card and there's what's the name of the one I use? It's the gray and pink one. Suica is green. I'll, I'll put pictures of them on the screen. There are two major ones. I use the gray and pink. I can't seem to remember the name. Suica, I think, is the most popular, but I got the other one. It works just as well. So that brings me to the end of my video today. I hope this is informative enough and gives you an idea of what you should be doing the first week in Japan if you do not have any sort of guidance from maybe your company or the or anywhere else. Maybe this helps. I hope it does. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.